Come, let us explore the 26th passage of the Great Garuda in Flight, a Dzogchen classic. If you wish to join me on the Tube app, just look at just click the tree link in my bio. So for my friends on the Tube app, I invite you to relaxingly recite with me the 26th passage of the Great Garuda in Flight, composed so many centuries ago by the great Buddhist reformer Prahivajra of Udayana, present-day Swat Valley of Pakistan. Together. Butchers, prostitutes, and those who have committed the 5 deadly sins, as well as those involved in the perverted actions are, in perverted actions, are abandoned by the world. But the pious, the fully perfected ones, know that even these acts are not that different from great bliss. So this is only going to make sense if I set the foundation. So let's do that right now. I'm going to tap button 9 and remind everyone of the basics of the essence of the Buddha's path. What if enlightenment was simply mastering the Buddha's Eightfold Path, getting so good at it that we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively? And the key to the Eightfold Path is simply the 7th and 8th folds of the path, mindfulness and meditation. This is wild. The more we authentically practice mindfulness and meditation, the more the remaining 6 folds, the more the awareness of change, the more kind intention, kind communication, kind conduct, and kind commerce, and the more the right effort that is effortless flow from us, from a place of centered spontaneity. So it behooves us to get a good bead on what the Buddha meant by mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness, which could be translated from the Pali as sati, is just a fancy term for noticing. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, the sympathetic aspect of our parasympathetic nervous system, the sympathetic aspect of our autonomic nervous system, ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord, is wired to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. And by perception, we mean sight, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like. The question remains, what do we do with that which we noticed? That brings us to meditation, known in Pali as samadhi. Meditation is simply relaxing. You see, every time we exhale, thanks to the parasympathetic aspect of our autonomic nervous system, which is which is divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. We are wired to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and less defining. Figuratively, that which we noticed could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. Every time we breathe, we are faced with a choice. Do we passively cooperate with our autonomic nervous system, or do we actively compete against it by over-focusing and over-analyzing, thus exhausting our prefrontal cortex to the point of presenting with symptoms of depression and triggering our amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression? Now, if we choose to passively cooperate with our autonomic nervous system, some cool things happen. Our amygdala is calmed, and we gently stimulate our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, that which transforms dread into compassion and desire into love. So there is a myth that this takes a great ocean of time, an ocean of time equal to 3 kalpas, the length of time, according to legend, it takes the universe to form and collapse and rest. 3 times. But that is not what the Buddha taught. The Buddha taught that this could be mastered in as little as a week. Bearing this in mind, let us return to this morning's root text. Let's see here. So right now I'm sitting in what some people call a primal squat. So I'm going to adjust my calves for a moment. Let's see here. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to turn to another visual aid. Tapping bet 9. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. So we might call this the people on the right. The people who are defined by Yang's religious or irreligious patriarchy. Folks who are not only rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, but they think it's wonderful to be that way, and they will deride you and mock you if instead you would rather be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. So these folks on the right have a way of are hungry for positions of power and authority and prestige. And so whenever they join an organization, they claw and bite and scratch their way into positions of authority. And then when they get in those positions, the sad thing is they have no idea how to benefit people because their career has not been about mastering the Buddha's teachings or Christ's teachings or Lao Tzu's teachings. It was always about power. So we find this in every human organization, spiritual or secular. When we apply this pattern to Buddhism we see when the Buddha taught. He taught very simply, and we can consider the Buddha's original teachings as proto-Buddhism. And then people began twisting the teachings even while he was still alive, and we could call that institutional Buddhism. And that is echoed in the tale of the Buddha's foolish cousin Devadatta, who succeeded in dividing his patrons, dividing his lay students, dividing his monastic students, taking half of everybody and forming his own sect. But he lost all his students and all his patrons because all he knew was manipulation. He didn't really know the path of wisdom, the path of freedom, the path of love. So it's these minions of institutional Buddhism that are hateful and judgmental. Now I think we're ready to go back to button 14. So it's these minions of institutional Buddhism that are very, very, very judgmental, casting dispersions on butchers, prostitutes, and those who have committed the 5 deadly sins, which they would describe as killing one's mother, killing one's father, maliciously wounding one who has mastered the teachings, one who has stolen offerings. I think that's only 4. The 5th one is I think, if I remember correctly, I think it's desecrating a Buddha statue. I'm not 100% sure on that. My memory is pretty bad. But basically, those type of things. And then the author goes on to say that these people, these institutional Buddhists who are very, very sanctimonious, also consider casting dispersions on those that they feel are involved in quote-unquote perverted actions. And if you're terribly clever at this point, you will see what's coming up, that these judgments are based in duality. The duality that forgets both the beautiful and the ugly are just sights. Both the harmonious and the discordant are both sounds. Both the pleasurable and painful are just sensations. Both the delicious and disgusting are flavors. Both the fragrant and the foul are just scents. And the same applies to emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. So let us turn the page, which is sometimes easier said than done. But the pious, the fully perfected ones, know that even these acts are not different from great bliss. Now, great bliss here is, in this context, used as a metaphor for the mastery of mindfulness and meditation, the practice of which is the key to the mastery of the entire Eightfold Path and enlightenment itself. Thus they know all phenomena through the inherent nature of all phenomena. Or in other words, whatever beauty or ugliness they noticed during their previous inhalation could simply feel, could melt into the simplicity of merely sights as we relax into our exhalation. Quote, pious and unpious, the pious and unpious conduct we observe as we inhale melts into the simplicity of just behavior, as we relax into our exhalation. Now, for those of us who have been conditioned, oopsie, 1 second. Whoops. Okay, gotta adjust my legs here. Oh my goodness, all the way down. That's a long way. Okay. Remember that song by AC/DC? It's the long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. Well, it's the long way into the kitchen if you want to sit in your tuchus. Let's see here. There we go. I'm subjecting you to the nightmare that is my face. Brace thyself. Okay, here we go. So, in essence, this passage is all about the transcendence of sanctimonious duality. The type of duality that self-righteously seeks to feel good about oneself by making others feel bad about themselves. Now, someone could ask, man, this duality is all well and fine, but what about morality? Morality is all about nonviolence. It's all about love. 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to love. Loving intention, loving communication, loving conduct, and loving commerce. And the highest love is the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. When we practice mindfulness and meditation authentically, even as little as 5 minutes once every 12 hours or so, we find that our choices and utterances and deeds flow from spontaneity. No, not the type of spontaneity that is scattered, but rather the type of spontaneity that is centered. Having concluded our opening lesson, it's time for us to now shift gears. It is Ahsoka Tano Thursday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Semde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I could be your personal nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's live stream, let's play with the latest iteration of very easy meditation practice text from Sadhana, if you're nasty. How's about a quick review of Bengali crease counting? Because in this age of fascism, cranky men in polyester could take our malas away from us or our smartphones. But we must always have our hands and our fingers. Notice in this diagram, there's an arrow pointing to a yellow-colored navel wheel, or chakra. The easiest way to gently invite our energy to coalesce there is to rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. While doing that, we could count inhalations on our right hand, beginning with the little finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And that takes about a minute and a half. And so on our left hand, we could count sets. This would be our first set. And this would be our second set, our third set, our fourth set, our fifth set. So then we can count collection. Our first collection, our second collection, our third collection. Now this can seem ungainly, but download the free meditation manual or coming to class, and in time this can feel like second nature. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Unless you're watching a replay on the Tube app, then you can simply type your question in the comment area. I'll do my best to get back to you in a timely manner. If you're watching live, I tend to check for questions about once every 13 minutes or so. Welcome to this morning's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about every 8 to 16 minutes or so. For my friends who are watching this live stream on the Tube app, you'll notice that there's a red arrow pointing to a sky blue disc at an individual's heart. The easiest way to gently invite our subtle energies to coalesce there is to work with our middle fingers. For instance, upon the tip of our left middle finger, let me switch screens for a second. Here we go. Upon the tip of our left middle finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger. This is also how we count our first of 5 sets. Upon our right hand, we could count 16 inhalations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. But we do all this palms up in our lap. Now remember, as we breathe in, as we feel our chest swell silently and mentally, we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. As we feel our chest sink silently and mentally, we recite the one-syllable verb ease. Doing so is the easiest way, the most efficient way to practice mindfulness and meditation. And to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. We can keep track of our next set of 16 inhalations by touching the tip of our left thumb to the lowest set of creases upon its middle finger. And now we shift gears yet again. Notice on the right-hand side of the page, our friend, the chakra diagram has a red arrow pointed to the white crown chakra at the crown of his head. And of course, I'll state the obvious that the Buddhist chakra system is much different than the Hindu chakra system. So I'm going to return to the fourth button and remind you that the easiest way to gently invite our subtle energies to coalesce at our crown is to work with our index fingers. The easiest way to begin this is by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. Now, it's useful to count 16 inhalations on our right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. As we feel air enter our nostrils, silently and mentally, we could recite the demonstrative pronoun this, as we notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly whatever perceptions, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, or imaginings cartwheel across the stage of our mind. As we feel air exit our nostrils, silently and mentally, we can recite the one-syllable verb, ease, as we physically relax and mentally release. To keep track of our second set of 16 inhalations, we could touch the tip of our left thumb to the lowest set of creases on our left index finger, and then return the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger to the tip of our left index finger. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class as well as group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.